If you have been powerlifting for a while, you'll notice that powerlifting sometimes is harder mentally than physically. In order to make it in this sport, physical strength is not enough, and every powerlifter will have to learn some specific mental skills that they will help them unlock their true potential. Learning these skills will help you improve your mental toughness and focus and help you go through the rough phases that every powerlifter has to go through, and nobody can escape them, no matter how talented you are. In order to become the best in the sport, you'll have to stay in it for a long time, and these skills will help you do that. So the first skill every powerlifter has to learn is hype control. Being hyped, not high, while lifting, can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. And it's something newer lifters, especially excited ones, struggle with in the beginning. Hype can help you focus, create aggression, break through PRs, and give you power when you need it the most. It's a useful tool, but it has to be used correctly, and every lifter has different hype levels for each lift. Some lifters perform better with more hype, and some lifters perform better with less hype. It also depends on the lift, whether it's a very technical lift or a raw strength type of lift, like a conventional deadlift. And when hype gets too high, it can often become your worst enemy. Being too hyped, it can make you rush things, mess up your technique, miss commands, and not live to your true potential. Also, if you hype yourself every time you train, at the course of weeks, it will make you recover less better because your nervous system is on fire. And if you learn to live mostly calm and use hype at specific sets, then you will recover better and you will be able to focus, have more consistent reps and technique. So here is how to choose your hype levels. Some characteristics of low arousal or low hype athletes are being away but calm, collected, confident, slow and controlled breathing, and no hype from your handler. Some medium level hype athletes have the following characteristics. Some internalized aggression. They can turn hype on and off very fast. Confident, focused, sometimes a little bit more vocal, like letting out a scream or two. Faster breathing and maybe a little hype from your handler, maybe a slab or two to get you in the zone. And finally, some high level arousal lifters have very externalized aggression. They can turn it off but with no off switch. They have rage, little focus, they need a lot of time to calm down. They are very vocal, they breathe fast and uncontrollably, and they like to get overhyped by their handler, by shouting and heavy slabs and all that great stuff you see in powerlifting meets. Sometimes this is a mistake because these athletes don't really need it, and they usually use very high hype levels to cover for their lack of confidence for a lift that they're about to do. So make sure that if you are a very high level arousal lifter, make sure that you are really like this and you are not covering for the lack of confidence. So the best thing you can do is to play around with hype levels for each lift and see which lift gives you the sweet spot of having good technique and power. The next lift every powerlifter has to master if they want to get far in the sport and they want to survive is emotional discipline. Have you ever missed a lift and you started questioning everything in your training and your existence? Or is training not going as good as you want to or as exactly as you want to and you're starting to panic? Well, these things are things that powerlifters experience, even the best ones in the world. And in the beginning, everything moves fast. You are breaking PR after PR. And as soon as you hit your first plateau, it can be a little bit damaging on your ego or your emotional state, and you start questioning everything and you feel like everything is falling apart. But that's a very normal part of the journey of a powerlifter. So one of the best skills a powerlifter can learn is emotional discipline, or sometimes even emotional detachment, almost to the point where you don't care about the sport, because everybody will experience failure, everybody will miss sets, everybody will fail competitions, everybody will fail a PR at some point. So you want to be prepared mentally to accept it and to move through it without your whole world falling apart. And if you want to survive this journey, powerlifting, which is a marathon and it's not a race, you'll need to spend years and years training these movements to get good at it or good at a very high level. You want to be equipped with emotional discipline to help you go through the rough phases. And believe me, after 10 years in this sport, there will be a lot of them. So it's important to understand that everybody feels defeat and disappointed at one time, and the goal here is not to avoid your emotions, it's to control them, because in times where you are going to lose control, you can bounce back fast, refocus, and keep working on your goals without breaking apart. So how do you actually build emotional discipline? First of all, it's very important to remember that training has its ups and downs, and you won't feel at your strongest all year round. It's important to understand that nothing is permanent and every phase will pass, whether that it's a good phase or a bad phase. There will be phases that you're hitting PR after PR after PR, you're getting stronger every day, you're having great competitions, your training is moving fast, everything feels great, you don't have any pains, you're at the top of the world. And there will be phases where everything hurts, you will get injury after injury after injury, you will have shit meets, your sessions will not go as planned, you will have bad sessions for no actual reason, and there will be phases that you will be stuck for months or maybe years depending on your level. So what do you do in these types of phases? In these phases, it's really important to look back and look at your successes and look at what you have been through before and know that it will pass. And confidence is built on past successes and wins and not self-talk in the mirror. The second thing is to trust yourself, your abilities, your coach and your plan, and believe you will find a way forward. Another thing you can do is to rebuild your confidence by having small wins, improving little things through your training or through your day, through your nutrition or through your recovery. It will stack up and help you build back up slowly. A thing that has helped me personally go through a very bad phase a few years ago that took me 1 or 2 years to get out of was to think that others will have bad phases too, others will fail their PRs, they will get stuck too, and they are not gods. So think about that when you're stuck, and remember that nobody's invincible, and other athletes will go through this too. Also, if you have a small mishap or a bad session, it's good to ask yourself if it really matters in the long run or if it will matter in a few months or weeks. Because in the bigger picture, after a few months, one bad session will not really matter because you'll hit your PRs anyway, and you will keep progressing regardless of a bad day. And also, as soon as you accept that there will be good days, bad days, medium days, there will be days that you feel very good, there will be days that you feel like shit. By showing up consistently and putting in the work with what you have is what will bring you forward and help you progress. Also, as a final note for emotional discipline, you will learn from your failures and your mistakes more than your successes. So treat it like data, learn from it, and move on. And the third skill, the final skill that every powerlifter has to master in order for them to go far in this sport is patience. It may sound cliche, but most people don't really practice patience, and it's either because they don't really want it that much or they are in for the hype, because in the beginning where everything moves fast and you could break PRs, everything is great, but there will be a point where this phase ends and progress will not be linear anymore, and this is where most people quit. Many lifters start to panic as soon as progress slows down or even get bored. This might cause them to go off program, max out randomly, push their training when they shouldn't, and usually for very little outcome, and the risk of injury goes through the roof. And what athletes have to learn is that they will go through phases with very little or no PRs, they will have to spend time to build, and there are basically no shortcuts, and putting in the boring, competitive, hard work will take you further than anybody else. The best lifters in the world aren't doing secret exercises and shortcut protocols. They're basically doing the boring stuff very good and very often, and they have been doing them for years, and this is how they became what they are. And the athletes who struggle most with patience are athletes who are motivated by external factors like PRs, praise, social media, and they're basically not really enjoying training. They enjoy the attention, they enjoy the rush from a new PR, and this is not very sustainable if you want to become a very high-level lifter. So how do you actually build patience? Today's world where instant gratification is everywhere, your dopamine receptors are fried, fast-paced living and constantly chasing the next big thing, we have to train our patience muscle, and this will help us invest in the long game where most great things are built. So what does patience in powerlifting look like? Doing everything exactly as is in your plan, no more reps, no more sets, no more kilos. You can run through blocks where everything feels repetitive and nothing exciting happens. You are putting in the work even though you are not seeing PRs for some time, knowing that in the long run it will help you get better. And running your blocks to the end and finishing them, and then methodically analyzing them, seeing what worked and seeing what didn't work, analyze, evaluate, and move on. And on the other side, impatience looks like this. Going off program because your warm-ups felt good. I've heard it 1,000 times, so please don't do this. It's a really big mistake. Having random max out days out of the blue way too often, program hopping or changing your program every few weeks without completing any of your previous programs, measuring your progress only daily or weekly and not monthly or yearly, and basically not following your plan, adding more weights, more sets, or more reps than what is prescribed. So what do you do when you feel impatient? You want to ask yourself if you go off program, if it will mess up your plan in the coming weeks. Some sessions will have to be easy by design, so let them be easy. Not all sessions will have to be hard, and you won't have to go hard every time to see progress. If you're in competition prep, you want to ask yourself what matters most to you, a small PR in the gym or a random PR in the gym, or a PR in a mid, where it's the only place where it basically counts. And finally, remember that each phase has a goal, and not every goal is to break new PRs, and the goal sometimes is to set you up for big success later. So these are key mental skills every powerlifter has to learn in order to get far, reach the end game of powerlifting, and unlock their true potential. And I really want to focus on that training has its low phases and it has its high phases. So don't get discouraged if you are in a low phase. And remember that powerlifting is not only sunshines and rainbows. There will be slow phases. There will be phases where you'll be injured. There will be phases with no PRs. And this is part of the game. These are the exact moments where you will be tested and see how much you want it. And this is a perfect environment to build your mental skills. The lifters who have long, great and healthy careers are the lifters who have went through slow phases or bad phases with patience, and during setbacks and bad times they stayed focused on their goal and they kept working hard day in and day out, putting in the consistent work, which is the most important thing. Also, numbers will rise and fall. So remember that numbers will rise and fall. You will lose some competitions, your confidence will fluctuate, but the ability to regulate yourself will not. Strength lifts weights and mental toughness will take you far. So when progress slows down and more obstacles are in your way, this is where powerlifting begins.